Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club, and today I am using a mixture of the January kits, so the main kit, the embellishment kit, the pocket life kit and the colour kit too, and I'm focusing today on the Pinkfresh Studio My Favourite Story frames. I really didn't know what to do for this layout. I really wanted to use the rainbow paper. I really wanted to use it, but it's been used so many times by lots of other people. And I thought, oh, how am I going to make this look at all different? I played around with the frames and the rainbows before I turned the camera on to figure out roughly what I was going to do, and I settled on this design. Also, the other boo-boo was the fact that I'd used most of My Favourite Story frames already on previous layouts, so I didn't have that many left. So they were going to be a feature on my page, but that was a little tricky considering I didn't have that many left. So I pulled out the ones that I did have and the ones that I thought would work, and I've just kind of arranged them together with the rainbows onto the layout. So the rainbows at the moment are just cut from the paper and placed onto my background, but what I'm actually doing is cutting each rainbow strip apart and distressing the edges of each one. I'm then going to attach them to my background individually, spaced slightly apart. So they were a little tricky to cut out because of the black lines either side, but I managed it just about, and so the plan is to attach to the corners of the layout individually, and then space them apart so I have a small amount of white showing in between each one. And I say all the edges are distressed, so that way they have a decent amount of texture and dimension. So I'm just spending a little bit of time attaching my first rainbow to the background. You can see exactly what I'm doing there. It's quite straightforward. I'm just lining up the edges with the edges of my paper, my cardstock. I've already cut out a bit of the white from the middle, so this works quite well, yeah, I'm just layering those up. So then when I come to do this second rainbow, I think I do that off camera, just because you've seen me do that and you don't want to watch me do it all over again. I need to, of course there's gaps in between my rainbow stripes, so I could see the first rainbow in between the gaps of the second rainbow. So what I did was just stuck all the bits over on the right hand side as well, and then I took a pencil and I drew a pencil line on the smaller rainbow on the left, and then chopped off those the ends of each rainbow so that it didn't show through the gaps. Okay, so I'm happy with how my layout's looking, and you saw how I managed to pull it together. And I have also stitched through every rainbow stripe on my sewing machine. So I've used white thread on the sewing machine and I've gone through every single stripe on that layout. So you can't see it too well in the video, but hopefully you'll be able to see it in the close-up sections. So yeah, I'm just working on the title right now. So I've already figured out where my photos are going to go. They're going to go inside the frames, which I'd already figured out the arrangement of prior to starting. So I want to get my title in place so that it's there and done and I don't need to worry about it anymore, or because this layout's quite busy, so therefore trying to add in a fairly long title is quite tricky. Finding the right space for it can be quite tricky. So I figured if I put it in now, then I can embellish around it rather than embellish first and then try to find a space for my title. So my title is Digging for Gold. Those photos you can just about see there are of my two children digging a ginormous hole on the beach. They worked on it all day. The hole was nearly as tall as my daughter, who's not that far off of me, to be fair. So it was a very large hole. I did make them fill it in before we went home so that nobody fell down it whilst walking in the dark or something. So yeah, hopefully no injuries were caused, but they certainly had a great day doing it, and we said all day that they were digging for gold. So that, and also there is gold at the end of rainbows, so I figured the rainbow thing all went quite nicely too. Okay, so I say I've been working on my photo arrangement with those frames. I'm happy with how that's all looking. I like the fact that my layout is, the big clusters of the photos is in the central focal point of the layout, which is where the two rainbows kind of cross over. And I'm just spending a bit of time going through the bows. So these Pinkfresh, my favourite story bows, I have struggled with them slightly because they're all different colours. I wouldn't mind a mix and match, but they're really different. So you have like navy blue with pink and green stripes, and you have all different coloured stripes. But of course you don't see all of the pieces, you don't see the whole effect. So even though that really stripy beautiful one is really lovely, you can't actually see the effect of that once you have a bow stuck on top of it. So I have struggled a little bit with these, making these work. So I decided to stop worrying about it and just pull out the bits that I thought would work. So I wanted some bows of similar colours. So I wanted a green one, a yellow one and a pink one, and I wanted all of the bow to be pink and all of the bow to be green and all of the bow to be yellow. So I just went for it, and I've probably used the wrong things, but I don't care. I just wanted a yellow bow, a green bow and a pink bow. And I'm now kind of attempting to embellish a little bit colour on colour. So the green bow that you can see there is sitting on a green frame on top of the green rainbow stripe, and the yellow bow is going to be moved up on top of this yellow frame that I'm just adding there, and the pink bow is on top of a pink frame. So I'm just doing that, and I'm adding a few of the chipboard flare buttons as well. Also that little tiny heart banner, that is also from the My Favourite Story frames, so it was nice to include that because my assignment today was to use the frames, but of course it's not just frames on that sheet, there's other things on that sheet too, so I thought I would use that as well. Also the little rounded corner piece at the bottom, square bit at the bottom, says pause, enjoy this moment. That is also from the Pinkfresh Studio My Favourite Story frames. So I'm kind of pulling all through the bits that I can. Oh, as well as the black happy days right at the top of the layout too, that is also from there. So I say I'm just trying to use up all the bits on there because I had used a lot of the frames already. So what I had planned in my mind was to create like a grid style layout with all the different frames, have photos in some and embellish the others, all on a white background. Sounds lovely, hey, but when I came to look at how many frames I had left, I was really gutted because I'd used most of them already. So that was that plan out of the window. Perhaps I'll do that next time we get a set of frames. Okay, so I'm getting on nicely with the layout. I just wanted to add in some of these hearts. Now I've had these hearts left over from the middle of a cut file that I did right when I first got this kit. So it was my layout that was called Love You More, and I say was at as a few weeks ago now. I got, when I first got my January kit, I did all the rainbow stripes with acrylic paint, and anyway I cut the cut file from that fabulous striped paper that was in this month's kit, and these hearts I've had left over ever since because they were the middles of the heart cut file. So they've been brilliant actually because they've added to my embellishments, and just meant that I've got these fabulous coloured hearts that I can use at various points throughout other layouts, and they all go beautifully because they're from the same collection. So extra embellishments there. I have added an outline to them in a white pen, except the crosshatch one, which is the reverse of that paper, and I'm doing the white pen now, sorry, because the crosshatch, because it had white on it already, didn't quite look right in the white, so I just went over it with a grey pen instead. Having some trouble with my white pen getting it to flow, but yeah, so I spent a bit of time going around each one of the of those hearts in the white outline. It is subtle. I could have done it with a grey pen or a black pen, but I didn't want them to stand out loads because they're kind of tone on tone embellishments. They're sitting on top of a colour, so I didn't want to outline them in a black and have them really stand out. I wanted them to almost blend in and pretend they weren't there. So the white did the job really well, because they do need an outline. They look a little lost on their own, but they definitely do need an outline. So the white pen did a good job there. So I've done that with all of those, and as I say, the one with the crosshatch needed a bit of a darker outline, so that's got grey pen instead. I've also added a few bits of thread or twine onto my layout. So in gold I've added one under the pink bow, and then I'm going to add another one under the bottom right of the bottom photo, and one up on the yellow as well. I thought I'd already done that, but maybe I haven't. I just wanted to say that if you subscribe to the main kit, the main hip kit, obviously you get a reduced price for your main kit, which is awesome. But also, did you know that if you subscribe to the main kit, you also get 15% discount off of any add-on purchases as well. So if you like what you see here, and you like the embellishment kit and the pocket life kit and the colour kit, you will get 15% off of any of those purchases if you are a subscriber. So that's worth knowing. So if you haven't subscribed, head over to the website and do so. I'm now adding my gold thread, so I'm just getting that in place now. So I say I put one onto the pink bow already, and now I'm just coming in. I wanted to add it on 3 kind of areas on the layout, so I chose where I wanted to put them, and then it was difficult to make work because of the frames obviously are outline only, and I didn't have a lot of other embellishments on there to cover the middle of the thread. I like the thread to stick out a little bit, but not to be totally on show. So therefore, trying to get the balance right, it needs to be tucked under something, and there wasn't much to tuck it under. So I had to spend some time fiddling around with that section at the top there. I say I've got some under the pink bow too, and I've got some under the bottom of the green frame. I need to add my green bow, and add my other bows as well. Now I struggled to get these to stick, so I applied a whole load of glossy accents and let them sit in that while it dried. I put my tape runner on top of them at various intervals. So that's one of my tricks. I tend to stick a big blob of glossy accents down, and then sit my embellishment that I want to stick inside that big blob, and then put something heavy on top. So usual suspects are my tape runner, my tape dispenser, stapler, pot of embossing paste, all sorts of things. Yeah, anything kind of heavy, or a punch is really good too. So now I'm handwriting in my journaling, so I wanted to go around the edges of the rainbow. So I started at the top on the left hand side and went down towards the middle, and then came up again towards the outside, but then I ran out of space, so I had to do a few more rows. But luckily that first stripe of the rainbow is a light pink, so it worked really well. I was able to write my journaling on there. So nearly done now, just finishing off with some splatters of the pink Lindy's Magical that was in the colour kit this month, and just adding some splatters there, going all the way down that vertical line that I've created down the layout. So yeah, that pretty much is me done. Just adding a few final enamel dots. These are really cute. They're from the other Pinkfresh one, which is called Super Cool, and they have got some great colours on that set of enamel dots too, so I've picked out the tone on tone where I can. Okay, and that's me done. So thank you so very much for joining me today. Make sure you check out those my favourite story frames in your kit that you've got, and put them to good use. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. That was Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.